September 20th work session of the town trustees to order. Start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America,
and to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation,
under God, indivisible, liberty, justice for all.
So the Secretary Treasurer, please call the roll.
President Eric Schultz.
Here.
Secretary Treasurer Scott M. Horowitz. Obviously, I am here. Trustee Ed J. Warner Jr.
Present.
Trustee William Pell IV.
Present.
Trustee Ann Welker.
Here.
Mr. President, we have a quorum.
Very good. Okay, first item on the agenda is the discussion for J.T. Cleary Offshore Wind Farms, use of Shinnecock Inlet. Ed, are you handling that, or?
Yeah, I've been working with the contractor. Sean and I had a conversation with him. I believe Sean's had a continuing conversation about them using the inner part of the bay west of the Shinnecock fishing dock to be able to mobilize and put some of their, machinery and floats and barges during bad weather, and also using the Road H trustee basin for offloading and unloading of materials.
Mm-hmm.
I know Sean was, Sean, did you have a further conversation?
I did invite them to come on in front of the board today. They only got the link a few minutes ago, so I'm hoping maybe they'll pop on with it today.
Okay.
We just need to bring the specifics to the board about, the value, the exact terms, the time frame that they'd like to use this facility.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
So hopefully they'll be on before the meeting is done, so we can discuss it.
Okay.
All right, Eric?
All right, sounds good. So let's skip to Graham Boyd of 8 Bay Road in Shinnecock Hills.
This is a discussion that I had with Suzanne Herman. I believe it's a bulkhead replacement that was done about 8 or 10 years ago. They're looking for relief from the Conservation Board to put a pool in, I believe. Is Suzanne on this call too? Because I was hoping to have her in on the discussion and give a little bit of her background, what she's been dealing with as far as her client and the Conservation Board.
Right.
If not, I can give you a little overview. Marty, Suzanne's asking to basically allow Marty to put some covenants and restrictions on the Shinnecock Beach Road to allow a property owner to expand a pool onto his property. It's our property. It's kind of, I don't really feel comfortable allowing the Conservation Board to put covenants and restrictions on another, piece of property in order for a specific property to get more expansion. It's, it should be done specifically on that property, not
Right.
on our Shinnecock Beach Road. I did have Joe Lombardo look into it because there's a couple other questions that I have on applications on this area along Shinnecock Beach Road. Is Joe on the?
I'm here, Ed.
Joe.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning, Joe. Could you give the board a little bit of an insight that you and I have been discussing, and specifically this 8 Bay Lane property?
Yeah, well, as you guys know, you have title to the 50 feet Shinnecock Beach Road, which runs from the mean high water mark landward. The bulkheads which have been placed there are being placed on your property. You've granted a permit for people to do that. It opens, to my mind, a host of questions about liability. So should somebody get hurt on the bulkhead, if a condition is created by someone not maintaining the bulkhead, and simply as you pointed out, with the possibility of the con board trying to put some CNRs on your property. You're not a party to the application, so you really should not even be in the conversation with the Conservation Board. So there are a number of issues with the bulkheads. I would suggest that perhaps you examine it in a little more detail about some sort of a licensing agreement or some sort of requirements that you would put on the property owner to maintain liability insurance, naming you as being indemnified or additional loss payees. You should have to step in and do some sort of emergency repair to prevent
Right.
somebody from getting hurt. To
Right,
recoup the cost by putting it on a tax bill if they refuse to pay you. The Blue Book needs to be amended. When a lot of these bulkheads were put in, it was a much simpler time and people were less litigious. Unfortunately, those days are long gone. And
Right.
you're the deep pocket. Let's be honest.
Well, one of the things that I really noticed in the last, like, I would say less than 10 years, is the amount of homes that have been reconstructed and the size of them and the values of them have gone up, $1 million to probably 10 or 15, or I don't even know what the prices of a couple of these homes are going to be worth. But, we're dealing with a different type of people and a different mindset. So I want to make sure that our assets in our Shinnecock Beach Road that we preserve and protect and maintain for the public is going to be preserved and protected for the public for the future.
I mean, you're talking about something which is very real. You're talking about homes that are now beyond the beach shack stage of existence. And with the kind of homes that you're talking about being constructed, there are certain toys that need to come with that home for status or for whatever reason. And it's going to put increased pressure on you as a board.
Well, and not only that, the homes are getting to such size on the property that they don't even have room on their property for swimming pools and the other amenities they want. And they're looking to reach out to the trustees' property and utilize that for an expansion on their property. We've seen it very clearly at 65 Cliff Drive, where a bulkhead was, the owner was made to remove a bulkhead so that they could expand and put a pool on their property. And it's caused all kinds of harm in the waterway, the adjoining property where the material goes into the water, filling in a canal. So I think moving forward, we have to view this as view it as a very cautiously and come up with some good language in the Blue Book to protect us and the property that we hold in trust.
Right, and you're gonna have it on Peconic Beach Road as well. So
Correct.
Yeah.
you need to be proactive, I think.
right.
Ed, Susanna is on the call.
I'm here. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Would you mind if I shared my screen? So I can show you what we're
Go ahead.
proposing?
Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, I've
There you
got
go.
so many. Can you see that?
Yeah, I can see it.
Yep.
All right, I've got so many screens open that I was confusing myself. Okay, so there's an existing house. We're not proposing to do anything to the house. It's an older house. It's been there for quite a while. There's an existing brick patio over on the west side. And what we're trying to do is just install a very small pool. It's 12 feet by, I think, 24 feet over to the side. It's within Conservation Board jurisdiction because it's within 50 feet of the bulkhead. The pool is actually 45 feet from the bulkhead. The bulkhead is down here. So the trustees own about 21 point something feet of what is currently being used as the back lawn, the waterfront lawn of this property. So as a condition of the Conservation Board application, the condition of issuance of the permit, which meets their setbacks and they're okay with issuing the permit. But as you may know, whenever they issue a permit for any proposed construction project on the water adjacent to wetlands, they require what they call a naturally vegetated wetlands, non-disturbance, non-fertilization buffer. And if we were to do that in this case, normally on a bulkheaded piece of property, they ask for 20 feet. And if we were to do that on this property, that 20 feet of buffer would be completely within Shinnecock Beach Road and would be on trustees' property. I can understand why you would not want to encumber that with some sort of covenant, which is what we would normally do. If it was the homeowner's property and they owned it outright, they would file a covenant formalizing that in perpetuity, that it would be planted with native vegetation. There could not be fertilizers, there could not be pesticides, and that would run with the land. I'm assuming you don't have any objection to us planting 20 feet with native vegetation. It would all be beach grass, someone could walk over it. So I was just wondering if there was some other solution where we could plant that and provide enough assurance to the conservation board that it would be left natural permanently in order to protect water quality and protect the bay. Something besides a covenant. If there's a way that that could be done, and we could file an application with the trustees to plant it. But I don't know, maybe you don't want to encumber the property that way at all.
Well, we're always looking for more vegetation and more, plantings along the water. We do have 10 feet that we normally take jurisdiction. Joe, is this something that we could work with the homeowner, and being that it's our property, take that 20 feet and encumber it with a wetland schematic similar to what the conservation board would ask for, but have it in trustees, in the name of the trustees?
Normally, I would say no problem, but what I'm afraid of is it being set as a precedent, and then we incrementally nibble in other areas on trustee property where homeowners want to do things, and there's another board sort of pushing a direction and that's going to encumber trustee property, be it done by a permit or a license or something else. That's my biggest fear, is the incrementalism that would come from it. Can it be negotiated? Absolutely. Can something be worked out? Probably. As you say, vegetation is good, and non-vegetation to be avoided whenever possible. But I think that you really need to examine this issue along with a lot of other issues with bulkheads on Peconic Beach Road and on Shinnecock Beach Road. Like you said, it's something that perhaps you want to examine more closely, consider a moratorium or something while you study it, but it definitely requires some blue book work.
Can I ask a question here? I mean, common sense has to come into play in a lot of this as well. So let's not cast that aside, common sense. How long has this application been working over there with the Conservation Board?
We probably submitted it a couple months ago.
And has anybody officially requested us to opine prior to this conversation?
Yes. When we submitted the application, Marty responded in a staff report, which said that he recommended it was customary to do a 20-foot buffer, and he recommended a couple of ways it could be done. One would be to do it completely on the homeowner's property, which we don't want to do. I mean, that would create a situation where you had native plants and then you would have lawn seaward of the native plantings. And it makes the most sense to do it on Shinnecock Beach Road. And the other suggestion was if there's a way that we can coordinate with the trustees to get approval to put some sort of natural buffer on the trustees' property on Shinnecock Beach Road, that we should contact the trustees in order to make that happen. And there have been a few emails going back and forth between me and James and Sean trying to figure out the best way to do that. And Sean's recommendation was that we come and talk to you as a discussion item. So it's not something that's been going on a long time. Again, it's just an application for a very small swimming pool in the side yard with some patio. And Marty was very, very hesitant to do anything without trustees' involvement and participation and your approval, because it's your property.
Not on, because it's our property. It's a trust piece of property, and putting an encumbrance on problem.
So question is, I got a question. Is there the possibility for them to maintain and provide the conservation board with whatever mitigation it is that they're looking for based on the property that's owned solely by this homeowner?
They could. It is physically possible to, I mean, can you see my mouse when I move it around here?
Yes.
Okay. It would be possible, we have 40 feet between the bulkhead and the proposed or existing patio. We're actually pulling the patio back a little bit farther from the water. There's 40 feet between the bulkhead and the patio, and we have to vegetate 20 feet of that. I mean, we'd prefer to vegetate down here where it's closer to the water and it would protect the water better, as opposed to vegetating the 20 feet that's landward of Shinnecock Beach Road. It would look pretty silly to have, 20 feet.
That's the precedent issue that I was talking about, because now you're setting a precedent because the homeowner doesn't want to ruin their aesthetics on their property, but they'll be happy to cooperate with the con board on our property.
I think that the precedent set looks more, I mean, just thinking out of the box quickly here. I mean, I think the precedent set by allowing, this mitigation to be done on the freeholder's property looks more silly to me than how the thing aesthetically would look, just as he says in the precedent setting.
Mhm.
I
I
look at it in a way that, well, they're coming to us, a different property owner. Why don't they go to their next door neighbor and ask them to do this on their property? You know what I mean? Because we got like 60,000 people we hold this entitled for. We start really giving up our ability to manage it in the way best. I mean, planting it with grass is fine, but my thought would be if we planted it our 20 feet that we own right now, and then they extended another 20 feet towards the house, then you're going to have a really nice buffer. Grass and lawn should not be sitting literally right on top of Shinnecock Bay. And
I think if
I was down there the other day, and it's completely grass right up to the bulkhead. It's not anything that we had originally approved. So they're actually in violation right now.
So then that should be remedied to not be in violation, and any mitigation that they're going to offer up to the town in behalf of getting relief from the code that allows them to put the swimming pool in my view, should be mitigation that they offer up on their property.
Hey, Joe.
Yes, sir.
I'm kind of elected. I'm for a nice big buffer, like Ed and Scott said, and Suzanne. But I'm kind of elected about putting any kind of covenant on that or let them plan on it. One, because I'm afraid I don't want another Rose Hill example. Number two is if you can't cross in front of that bulkhead with the beach, the freeholders should be able to walk up on that land to get across. And like Scott said, I think it sets a very bad example. So I'm not really for this project at all, how it looks right now.
Well, you got to remember the purpose of Shinnecock Beach Road is for pass and repass. It's not there for aesthetics. It's not there as a conservation thing. It's there as a thoroughfare that floats depending on the location, but it's nevertheless a thoroughfare.
For vehicles of all kinds, it says.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm
in favor of putting in any encumbrances or anything on that property as far as the trustees go.
Yeah.
Where's Sean weigh in on this?
Well, so this is not a standard application. This is why I wanted this on for work session for the board to weigh in on this. The option is really up to you. You're the board members. You could have a discussion about maybe putting in a pathway on top of the bulkhead. You could approve the project. You could not approve the project. You could shift and modify the plans. These are things that are up to you, though. So that's why I wanted this application on your work session today. You don't have to decide today by any means what you would like to do with it. We can certainly calendar this discussion and take a little more time to speak on it, both in work session and in executive session. But this is something I wanted the board to see front and center.
Thank you.
Okay, so at the end of this particular meeting, we have a bridge call for an executive session. And I asked Sean prior to this to see if Kelly was in, the Conservation Board's attorney, so we could all sit down and talk about Cliff Drive and this real quick and see if we can come to some initial solution to the problem. So I guess he's waiting for her to show up, and
She's not available today for the Conservation Board, but I have spoken with her. Their position is the same as it was. Either a permit or the applicant applying to the board would trigger that board's action.
well, where's she not available? She had court or something like that? She can't go.
We'll have, various meetings and court appearances throughout the day. So, but I did request her.
So she can't spare 5 minutes.
Well, she's the attorney for a different board, so.
So that's
Yeah,
all
right.
right.
Okay, so then we don't have to do anything. So then.
Yeah.
Right, it's okay.
If she can't
We'll
spare,
digest this.
then it's pretty much a dead issue.
For-
I
We gotta
guess so.
review this.
I guess so.
Well, let me meet with James and come up with an idea that I think might work. I'm not going to talk about it right now. And let me revisit this at the next work session and propose what I think is a practical solution and a good thing for the environment. All right, let me work on it with James.
That's great, Ed.
Yeah, thank you, Ed. I would just like to point out that my client would like to put the buffer closer to the water because that's not only just aesthetically better, but it also is better for water quality. The
Well,
buffer is more
that's great,
effective
but-
the closer to the water it is. And I understand your ownership of the property. I completely respect that. I'm hopeful that we can come up with a mutually agreeable
Well,
solution.
but
I'm sort
that's
of
not
stuck in the middle
necessarily,
here.
in this circumstance, Susanna, I don't necessarily think that that's totally, accurate. Because if you push in the buffer closer to the water, that also leaves for landward of that, the more ability to put more turf and to put more vegetation that does require fertilization and other pesticides that are going to get on there, that buffer is going to have to work even harder to eliminate before it gets into the waterway. So if you push it further towards the house and they're already in violation of their buffer requirements closer to the water, I think that really, if you're looking from an environmental standpoint to protect the waterway, you're probably going to get better protection that way. So I hear what you're saying just straight out of the gate, but when you take it into further analysis, may not be totally true, because you see what happens in a lot of these properties with that beautiful green grass and all the fancy ornamental plants that require a lot of maintenance, and it all ends up in the waterway. So, and that's why I say we got to go back to common sense on this thing and take a good hard look at it and make sure we make the decision that's in the best interest of the people of the town.
Well, right.
We've been
and
down these roads before.
Environmental considerations as far as putting beach grass along the bulkhead is great. But let's look at it at like if any of the board members owned lot number 7, the adjoining lot, and the applicant came in and says, hey, look, I want to put a covenant on your lot that you can't do certain, you have to plant things and you have to do all this stuff. I don't think any of the board members would say, oh, sure, put restrictions on my lot. It's the same thing with the Shinnecock Beach Road. They're asking to put covenants and restrictions on a piece of property that they don't own, and it's a diminishment of our ownership and our ability to be flexible in that ownership if we have to do something in the future, and then we have a covenant on it that we have to remove. So it's a different piece of property. You can't put a covenant on somebody else's property.
That's why I said, can
if-
the Conservation Board, based on the level of property that they have to offer up as mitigation, can they achieve what they need to achieve to offer the trade-off of having that swimming pool based on solely what's located on this owner's property? Because as council's pointing out, you end up setting these precedents and you end up in these weird positions. Trustee Pell was giving us examples of, areas where things have gone awry. So, you got to be very sensitive to these issues.
Yeah, I mean, I can speak for the property, the Anzalone property, which is about 6 or 7 properties to the east of this. There's covenant restrictions on that property that we had to get an engineer cantilevered steel bulkhead to put in there because we couldn't put the tiebacks for the bulkhead, the normal dead men and lay logs in there because there was CRs right up to where the bulkhead would normally be put in on a standard way. So they had to do an engineered cantilevered steel bulkhead so that we wouldn't interfere with the conservation board's CRs over there. So, we got to, figure that this is going to be a normal thing in the future here, that we're going to run into these CRs. And if the conservation puts some restrictions on this, is the bulkhead going to be able to be replaced in the future? I mean, we look at 65 Cliff Drive, and they basically have taken out a bulkhead, which if you take this bulkhead out, it's going to be catastrophic failure for all the properties adjoining it because they're literally going to wash in the bay.
What's the common denominator on both of these examples that you've utilized? The common denominator is granting relief for swimming pools. Both examples, correct?
Right.
Well, let me work with
no,
James.
actually,
I have a couple ideas I think might work, and I'll meet with Suzanne and we'll go over them. All right.
I'm hoping we can find a mutually agreeable solution. I mean, maybe there's something besides a covenant that would work. Maybe we design it differently, but I'm open to whatever ideas you might have. So
I would ask the
do
board.
that.
I would ask the board to keep in mind they already have a swimming pool, so
what? No.
It's not like it's a de novo application for a pool. You're looking to enlarge it. So
No, there's no pool.
I thought you said
No,
there
it's
was.
not.
No, there's a patio.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
well,
Sorry.
Yeah, my paperwork says proposed swimming pool, and that's why I say both examples that you utilize were for granting relief for swimming pools. Okay, so
Well,
You
this
know,
swimming pool meets the wetland setback. It's typical when any project that the conservation board approves, they almost always, with very, very few exceptions, require a non-disturbance buffer. And 20 feet is really their minimum that they ask for.
right.
But
So-
they can also waive that non-disturbance buffer, can't they, Susanna?
They could.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Don't
in
see
other
that
words, they
happening.
could set a precedent for themselves as opposed to trying to tie the trustees' hands on something.
Yeah, this has got to be, Susanna, you do a great job with your applications. You really do. You're very professional and you do a fabulous job. I think that there are some very specific considerations and potential precedent setting issues here that the trustees have to weigh out very, very carefully with this application. So I'd be more than happy to work with Trustee Warner and the rest of the board to try and figure out what makes sense here. So
I understand your concerns, and I'm thankful for this opportunity to be able to talk it out and explain our position. And hopefully we can come up with a solution. And I understand Joe's concerns too. I mean, we've done other bulkhead applications within Shinnecock Beach Road, and it's a weird situation. You've got homeowners building structures on your property, and that's just because that's how it's always been done. So I understand legally and from a liability perspective as well. So hopefully we can figure something out.
I think a part of this discussion is going to have to be also the vegetation down there, if it doesn't follow the bulkhead plans that were permitted by the trustees in the first place.
Yeah, that's
agree.
another issue, but
Right, they're
we'll get
supposed
into
to have
that
10
later.
feet.
Yes, they don't.
They don't.
I was there.
And Suzanne, that's a good example. If the homeowner was very, pro
environment.
environmentalist, the 10 feet would already been there. That's what scares me. They get the permit and 10 years from now, they forget about it and it's all mowed over and grass.
I agree.
And if they had come in and Ed went down there was grass over the, beach grass already there, that would excuse me, that would have looked a lot better. But coming in there and having sod there right to the bulkhead does not look good in my eyes.
Well,
That's all-
I'm assuming that they were supposed to do 10 feet, but I haven't actually looked at their permit.
They were. I pulled
were?
the
You pulled
permit
it out?
already.
Okay.
Yes, it's a new
And that's-
permit.
That's always a consideration, especially if someone's asking for
Yeah.
relief or some form of consideration. Have they been a good steward of the environment with the responsibilities that they were supposed to uphold in the best interest of everybody in the town? And the answer
But we
to that
don't know.
question, we all know.
The property could have been purchased after the other homeowner was, we don't know the whole scenario. So that's why I want to do a little bit more research and sit with James. All right?
I'm not sure he's aware he's supposed to have that 10 feet there actually, but we'll figure that out.
Okay.
He
Okay,
will.
Thanks, Susanna.
thank
Okay.
you.
Thanks,
Okay.
Susanna. Thanks,
Thanks.
Ed.
Okay. What's the next item on there? My phone is,
I have Jessica. Are those people here?
What are you
Jessica.
looking for?
I'm looking for.
Barton and Gray Mariners Club?
Yes,
Yeah,
I see
yes.
that Fraser Christie's in the waiting room.
Okay,
Can you let them in, please?
Yes, William.
Thanks, Charles.
Hello.
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 Great to meet you all.
what's this about?
So I am here representing Barton and Gray Mariners Club, and we are hoping to apply for a permit in order to utilize the boat ramps and docks maintained by the town of trustees. Specifically, the boat ramp next to Bullhead Yacht Club at the end of West Neck Road would be the primary point of discussion for us.
Okay, what's involved?
So Barton and Gray, we're a Mariners Club that operates a number of Hinckley yachts in the area, and our members are given access to those boats for day trips with licensed captains. We have a number of members in the Southampton's area who are requesting to be picked up or dropped off. The example being the Coast Grill there, so access to that restaurant. And you would like to apply for a permit just to make sure that we're in compliance. We got a note from one of our captains, I believe, who is communicating, got the information that we need to apply for said permit.
Oh, okay. Well, Bill, you're familiar with that area. So what kind of traffic we have with these? How many people? Where's the parking? How many cars we park there? Are they being dropped off?
We're happy to comply with whatever you guys need in terms of making sure that we're operating without, putting weight. So with the example being parking, we're happy to request our members be picked up or dropped off via vehicle or ride program, and to ensure that we're not, overloading parking lots or anything like that.
Yeah, there's really no parking down there.
For sure.
West Neck is very limited to parking. There's one neighbor who chases people away. I have a lot of complaints on that person already. Down at Peconic Grill, do the marina have a slip for restaurant patrons who come by boat, or do they use the trustee dock?
Not that I'm aware of in terms of a dock for the restaurant itself. I believe we use the seawall to drop off our members, or had used the seawall to drop off our members. And and in particular with this location, usually the members would be coming from other locations, being dropped off there and then picked up and taken away. So wouldn't really be coming by vehicle to board the vessel. They would be more or less just utilizing the area
to drop off, to pick up. How often do you use that area?
I don't have a specific number. We're fairly, new in the area. So this would be our first summer operating in the area, and being as this issue just sort of came up, I would say it's been minimal on occasion.
Yeah.
Mr. Christie.
I have seen the boat come in a few times to West Neck. I
Got
like
it.
Green. Because I live down in that area.
Got it.
Any other
Are-
alternatives like Conscience Point town facility or anything? I'm a little concerned down there about the neighborhood being so quiet and then turning it into commercial operation. I think you would have to have people in the area, weigh in on it. It's not usually regarded as a commercial dock as far as frequency of trips. Any thoughts on that, Bill? I know you live down there, so
Yeah, it's just,
that's-
if they just come in and wait, I have seen the boat come in, looks like they stay there about a half hour and then they leave. I think that would be fine. I'm more worried about down at Willie's Pond, the bulkhead there, because I did have a complaint from one of the slip holders that one of the boats were tied in their slip and the captain gave him a hard time about moving. That's what I'm more worried about. Most restaurants on the water supply a
Transient.
slip for, supply a slip for a restaurant holder to go in. And where you're going into a restaurant, you might be drinking and coming back out and getting on a boat on our bulkhead. That's what I'm more worried about.
Are they? What's the draft of this boat?
The draft range from 1.5 feet to 2.5 feet.
Mr. Christie, what other spots have you utilized within the town besides the two that have been mentioned at Coast Grill and at the end of?
The two others I'm aware of, well, actually one we have not utilized, but I'm not sure if they're trustee maintained properties, would be the seawall next to Peconic Marina and then the Shinnecock Marina seawall, but I don't believe that one is maintained by the town of trustees.
Do you know the address of that?
I can bring that up quickly. Sorry.
Okay, because I'm not sure when you say Shinnecock Marina, which
The one on the
you're-
Shinnecock Canal?
Yes, the one on the Shinnecock.
That's a county facility?
Yes.
That's a
Okay.
Suffolk County facility.
Got it.
That's different then.
Yes.
Yeah,
The
that's
seawall
some-
from Conic Marina is us. That's one we were just talking about.
Right.
We do have licensing agreements with other enterprises where they've used the area in Pine Neck, and there is some parking there. Would this be an option? Would this be a possible alternative rather than West Neck or rather than Peconic Marina?
Let me take a look at the map really quick on that.
Well, the best would probably be Conscience Point because you have the most parking area.
Right.
To utilize, if you want to park 3 or 4 cars there, it's not going to interfere. Or even Toad Point by the other pier that we have there is that's open almost all the time too. There's very little public use of it other than for maybe snapper fishing or launching or paddleboard.
And that's owned by the town.
Yeah,
So
we're not sure about that, Eric. That's a
And-
gray area.
So you don't want to go to Western Shinnecock, huh?
I don't believe so. No, primarily we're looking in the Great Peconic Bay side. We don't do much south of the canal.
Okay.
Okay.
Too bad.
We're happy to come through. We have a couple boats in Prime Marina. So yeah, we're in the area.
Because we got, you got areas that are to the western part of the bay where we do have some facilities where you could perhaps tie up, pull in and pull out without doing too much interference, because we've got, just a little more availability, and we have some facilities that we just got done rebuilding that may work, but it's nice to kind of run down the Quad Canal and kind of see that whole part, and there are some nice restaurants there too. So
Absolutely.
there is some options over there, but the boats that you're running, I don't think really draw a tremendous amount of water. These Hinkley
No.
boats are jet drive boats, right? So you could, they may even enjoy that as well, because I was thinking, we got that Bay Crest facility, which is brand new. Couple of cars parked there is not really going to make a a big issue, and it's a nice, safe dock to pier up,
Well,
Might
you
have
still
to.
operating? What's your, seasonal
Season.
operation?
Yeah, we wrap up our season on October 15th. And then we begin
Okay,
June 1st, but Memorial Day weekend, May 29th usually.
okay.
Yeah.
So this can be an initial discussion. It's not anything pressing right now, is it?
No, certainly not pressing.
Okay,
And would definitely be open to your feedback on, locations that would work
Yeah.
and then we are happy to, provide that guidance to our members and in terms of, where we are good to operate and where we should avoid.
okay. And then, then by that time, we'll have some of the ownership issues probably straightened out about who owns what, as far as Town Point goes.
Yes.
Okay. All right, well, let's talk amongst ourselves and see what we think is we need to know kind of though, what your expected frequency though is of this use. Projected.
If you can figure out, how many for next season, how many times you're going to be using it on the average, and if you're dropping people off and leaving cars.
Okay.
Yeah, I can get that information and happy to put together, an estimated amount of use and work from there. Just shot a message out to see if we can get some more clarification on.
All right, great.
We'll be there.
Very
Hey,
good.
I think it's a splendid idea. It's a nice business you got going.
Yep.
The people
Yeah.
down the water.
Yeah, we'll see if there's ways to make it all work where it doesn't, create any issues. That'd be good.
Right.
Absolutely. And happy to be, a point of contact, especially if there's any sort of incidents like mentioned with the slip and the captain, we certainly want to be operating and representing ourselves well in the area. So.
Okay, very good. We'll be in touch.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. All right, well, we go to general permit applications for determination. We can start with John Keogh at 29 Fisk Avenue in Village of West Hampton Beach. James, if you have that up. This is on the bayfront down by Oneck Road, the end of Oneck, down in that area. Okay, so they want a catwalk dock existing to the bulkhead. 4 by 125 foot. I didn't have the chance to see if that is within that change in the pier line. Do you have that? Can you bring that up, the overall on that?
Yeah, like from Baycrest to the west
goes
end,
from-
the east
goes
end of West Hampton Canal. West
So
end.
it goes from Oneck Road to the Oneck Drain.
Yep.
I just didn't, I think it was 125. I think we,
Yeah, it's 125 feet length and measured from a point in Merchants Bay, beginning at the most westerly point of Oneck Lane, heading easterly to Oneck Drain, existing on Suffolk County tax map number 905-10-333.
okay, so bring that up on the, just so everybody knows where that is, map.
So this is the Oneck Drain, correct?
Right.
Yep.
And then it goes to where?
Oneck Road.
Which is right here.
Yeah, to the left there, right?
Yep.
So the property is over here.
Right. Now, so that doesn't fall within that,
Right.
right? However, the area down there is deeper, as you can see. It's darker right in near that property there. We had Oneck Cove, which is down on the end of Oneck Road. That was basically right at the edge there. What was did you bring up the depth soundings?
Let's see if it's on the survey here. Hold on. right, those are the old ones, sorry.
All right.
I think it's Jim or is someone from Interside? Jim's on, right?
Charles, is Jim Walker
Jim,
here?
you're muted. There you go.
I'm unmuted. Yes, and
Okay.
Jim, did you get new, or did you submitted new plans, correct?
Yeah, we shortened this up at the request of the trustees to 80 feet.
Oh, okay.
Now, did you submit a new application description? Because what I have is an older one.
Yeah, because I was going with the 125.
Yeah.
I don't know if we did or not.
Okay.
But we can follow up this meeting with, I can check and see if we submitted a new form, but we shortened up the dock. And since the trustees told us to shorten up the dock, we have a DEC permit, we have Department of State, and the Army Corps is starting to weigh in, but they're very slow. So I expect we have some time yet before the federal approval is issued, but yes, we could make sure that we've given you a proper project description.
So just to be clear, what I'm showing you now is the most recent dock plan that you're proposing, correct?
80 feet.
Okay. And the jet
I still had the 125. Okay. Well, we asked them to shorten it up. They did. They want to put a jet ski lift in with 2 jet skis, and it's 2 vessels. So, then they have an existing.
Adequate water.
Excuse me.
They have adequate water for jet skis.
Yep.
And removed the T dock on the end, or the L dock. That was part of the initial description, wasn't it?
Yes.
Right. Well, they have it just straight out and then just a jet ski lift on the end.
Right.
So that's good.
I think it's all ready to go for the town. We still have to get the Army Corps to weigh in. So whatever the trustees need for advancing it to approval, we have time. I will check our file, make sure Mr. Durier has everything that he needs.
Okay.
The only one question I have is the dock application and the jet ski lift hoist is going to be separate, right, from the dock application, because it's another different application.
Yeah, we can check for that at the same time, Ed. And
okay,
the Board of Trustees will have a comfortable amount of time to deal with that particular issue while we're still waiting for Bart DiMartino at the Army Corps to finalize their approval. So that's fine.
Yes. Well, we also have in executive session today the discussion of the jet ski issue in general, how it pertains to some other applications we have in the town. So we have to straighten that out. So that'll weigh.
So my understanding is for jet ski lifts and boat lifts, they're part of the general permit application. It's the jet ski floats that are a separate application.
Yeah,
these are not going to be on. These are not going to be on floats. They're going to be on a lift. So it's
correct.
Okay.
So that would be part of a general permit application and not a separate application like floats.
Right.
All right.
Right.
What about? Sorry. What about the jet ski lift that's existing on the bulkhead?
That's going to be removed.
Great.
Yeah, just put that in there.
Yeah, he already had a jet ski lift. We're removing that. They're going to have a new dock with a new jet ski lift, what you see, and nothing else. That's it.
Okay. Just checking.
Okay. So, Jim, what do you want to do? Do you want us to advance this there?
Yeah, and I'll check our file, make sure we've given you everything you need for permit application forms, and I will check with Mr. Durier to make sure that we've met the town requirements in that regard.
Okay.
Great. Thanks, Jim.
I'm okay with
Jim.
Thanks, Jim.
Good job, Jim.
Thanks. I'm okay with advancing this.
I'm fine.
Okay.
Looks good.
So the next one is Jody Sherry of 452 Dune Road, West Hampton Beach. This is by Pond Point. Anybody here for that? Oh, First Coastal. Anybody from First Coastal? Okay. Okay, then I'm gonna table this one till next work session, okay?
Billy's raising his hand.
Oh.
Billy
okay,
Mack's here.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jess.
Mhm.
Okay. Let's bring up.
I got
the,
him. He's
Let's bring up the aerial. We having technical difficulties, Bill?
Yeah, it looks like he's still in the like waiting room area. From what I can see.
I keep trying to let him in, but I think he's in this time.
Hey, guys, sorry about that.
No
No
problem.
worries. Hey, Billy.
How's everybody this morning?
Well,
Good,
Bill,
How are you?
thanks.
Okay, so you want to put a 67-foot addition on this particular pier?
Yeah.
Okay, what's your depth measurements?
So right now there's a stick dock there that ends at about 1.2 feet,
Mhm,
existing catwalk. And
mhm.
we'd like to extend it out to get a float, chalked as it may be, proposed at 2 feet. The 2 foot difference is quite a bit from the 1.2, obviously. So we think it's appreciable and would make a nice difference to accessibility to the water for this property.
Mhm. So you're within the 100-foot, and you
Yeah.
have, well, 2 foot. And what's the DEC say about this?
DC, we haven't gotten back yet.
Yeah. I'm concerned in general because we have a regulation on the books that says 2.5 feet of water, whichever comes first, and there's been an increasing number of applications coming in with lesser water depths and now chalking floats. I don't know how we're going to have to visit this and have to revise the blue book if we're going to start making changes, because this affects. We pretty much held the line throughout the years of 2.5 feet, and so has the DEC, and now I see they're backsliding. I'm concerned that we've held people in the town to a pretty consistent standard, and now I see an erosion of that. Anybody else have any thoughts on that?
wouldn't
Yes.
a fixed T dock or a fixed L dock be more appropriate in this area? Because I know there's a large fetch from the other side of the bay, and it gets extremely rough and extremely shallow there. I would think that the owner would want a more of a substantial fixed dock that wouldn't get beat up on these storms.
Kind of
Yeah,
sheltered in there in that.
Yeah, it's pretty
pond.
protected there.
Is it inside?
It's inside the.
Trying to get
cove.
my
Yeah.
phone.
Yeah,
Pond
James,
Point.
It's inside of. Oh, it's inside of Pond Point.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
inside the pond.
There we
Yeah.
go.
It's pretty shallow in that whole pond, right, Billy? Is there?
It is, yeah.
2.5
There's a
feet?
couple of deep spots, but no more than 3-4 feet. Yeah.
right.
But
Okay.
the deep spots are primarily right in the center, not along the side, not along the
Correct.
sides at all. And are there any other, I'm trying to recall, are there any other floating docks in there? Is there one on the east side?
Yes, from the east side parcel over, there's a series of docks. Most everybody's got a floating dock
Mhm.
in that cove.
Yeah, they're older permits.
Yeah, they're older permits.
Mhm.
You know, the goal is obviously to get to more navigable water. We propose a floating dock because that's the easiest, especially for people that are looking to access a boat a little safer. And a chocked float, you know, I get your situation with that. Of course, that would be the ideal configuration. If that's a hang up, perhaps we can propose a fixed L or T.
Well, it's just my concern of, changing the rules, and it's not in the rule book.
Well, if it's not, if you got to get it Blue Book compliant, so what he's
Right.
talking about with his L or T work.
The fixed dock would be compliant. That's why I recommended
So-
it. The other one is kind of, if this was back in the 60s and 70s, this whole place had eelgrass in it. It no longer has it, so we're not dealing with the submerged aquatic vegetation that we had previously. So that's kind of taken out, but our rules and regulations is for 30 inches.
Mhm.
And this is quite a bit shy of that, and we have allowed chalking, but like Scott said, it's not something that we have in the blue book as far as regulations that we can go and say, well, we're going to allow you to chalk the dock here.
Right, well, the only other option would be to amend the blue book for a pier line and allow chalking in this particular cove. That could, if you feel that, that's warranted.
How long is that going to take? I mean, it's how long you want to get this thing going, right, Billy?
Well,
Ideally, yeah.
The reason why you're also, the reason why you're going out further is to get the float. All right, to get the water sufficient to get a float in there. You have a dock there right now.
Right, but then again, it's only 1.5 or 1.2 feet at the end, so it's not very serviceable. The 2 feet obviously is a big difference for most boats.
Mhm.
And because it is sheltered and there's, the neighborhood is consistent with floating docks and around there, we thought that the best option would be to propose a chalked floating dock that would minimize any impact to the bay bottom. And it also, and I understand you guys review these case by case. This particular case looks like it would be a candidate for a chalked floating dock.
Well, how would you
Yeah, but
go
it's
about
not
chalking this
case in
float?
the-
That's my question,
Not
Billy.
case by case in the blue book. It's all
Yes, sir.
docks in the town shall be, it's 100 feet or 2.5 feet, whichever comes first, unless a pier line is set to the contrary. Okay, that's it. It's not on a case by case basis. When we want to, like in the situation with O-Neck Drain to O-Neck Road, we had we reset the pier line that way. When the pier lines, when the 2.5 feet was put in, instead of having a moratorium throughout the town, it was decided that 2.5 feet would be the average, and then the trustees would then modify it over the years if bottom characteristics changed. So we have to be consistent with what the blue book says. It's not a case by case basis.
Understood.
I think it would be best if we had a public hearing for the whole town to look at this chalking of docks. And if we're in favor of it, to set a certain parameter where there's the least amount of water you can put a chalk dock up to 2.5 feet, and come up with a specific mechanism for the chalking of the docks. Some people wanted to use cables, some people want to use chains, some people want to use 4x4s or something like that. So we have to come up with a formulation on how best to chalk the docks if we determine that we're going to utilize this type of system for these floats. I think that's the best way to go about it, Eric.
But for the purposes of processing this application, I mean, Billy Mack, what do you think is the best solution for Blue Book compliancy in the interest of time and what it is that this applicant wants to achieve?
A T-dock with a fixed dock at the end with maybe a 8-inch step down on it so you can get in and out with a ladder. That would work fine in there.
Billy Mack?
I actually, I agree.
Okay.
So we'll go back to the client and see if we could suggest that as an alternative. We prefer the L dock as opposed to a T just because of the whatever, it allows a little better access.
And you can put a jet ski and a boat on it, so you'd be a lot more used. Yep.
Yeah, it opens up the availability. So that's what we'll do. We'll go back to the property owner and see if we could suggest that as an alternative.
I mean, because I think if we got to go through public hearing and all that stuff, I mean, you know how long that takes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, just
But
let me
it's
add
written-
that the reason why the 2.5 feet was determined also was, one, to get a handle on the excessive length of docks. Second, that if you had less than 2.5 feet and you did bring a boat in there and it was a shallow pond, you're going to prop dredge through the whole place.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was the reason why floats were not allowed in less than 2.5 feet water, because of the shallow conditions and the sediment dispersal that occurred. So if you allow chocked docks, which now brings in motorized vessels into, say, 1.5 feet of water, and then you have the outboard tilted up and you're blowing out all the silt all over the place. And plus people put their boat motors down and prop dredge so they have deeper water around them. So it's not something to be considered, just lightly. There was a lot of rationale behind this in the first place.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to you guys reviewing the blue book with respect to chalk docks in the future, or perhaps on this application we could persuade the applicant to go with a stick L dock out to that 2 feet.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Okay with that.
Thank you guys very much for your time.
Okay.
Thank you, Billy.
Thanks, Billy.
Enjoy.
Well.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Next one is Moore Realty, 44 Club Lane, Remsenburg.
We're gonna hold that. Sorry, we're gonna hold that. Correct.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, we're gonna hold it, right?
Till he can get us back.
Yeah, thank you. We'll get back to you on that.
Thanks, Bill.
Thanks.
Okay. This is a bulkhead replacement. It's on Club Canal down in Remsenburg.
Guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
I
Hey,
can't
Jean.
start my video for some reason. Charles, can you let me? My video's not starting.
I'll help you with it.
Okay, thanks. Why are we holding this?
We're not.
We're
discussing it.
Oh, okay.
That was the
That was the
previous.
other one.
I assumed that was,
Yeah, the other application.
Yes, that was the other application.
Wait, what was the other one?
that was
More
the-
Realty,
That
44.
is mine. That is mine.
No, the other
No,
one.
Joe-
52
uh,
June Road.
was,
Oh, the Billy's. Okay.
Billy's.
Okay.
Billy's.
Sorry. All
okay,
right.
so
So 44 Club Lane is up.
go ahead.
This is a typical R&R. You can see it's been collapsing. The applicant is going to close off that lower section that you see with the retaining wall and raise the elevation. If you notice the property to the south, James, if you want to bring out more of the photos, property to the south towards the end is considerably higher. We're asking for what we're allowed, which is 18 inches. I'm not sure how they got that bulkhead that high, but it's obviously affecting the level at this property at 44.
Have we checked the permits on that? On the one to the south?
I haven't, no.
No, not you. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, starting video now. Okay, maybe.
That used to be the backfill on that particular bulkhead we're talking about right now.
Fail to start video.
Was gravel, was all gravel.
My video is still not starting. I'm sorry.
All right, that's okay. We got our thing up there. That was all gravel at one time there, and it was, kind of weeds and stuff have grown up into it.
Right. And I've noticed that the applicant, because I did notice there's, some bayberry and stuff like that. I
Yeah,
asked them
north.
if it would be okay to just do vegetation, and they were fine with that.
Yeah, to the north it's a little bit more going into some mature stuff.
Right.
Right.
So, doing the right thing. Obviously,
What's the,
asking them to do just vegetation.
so show the bulkhead to the north, if you have that picture.
Yeah, there's a couple of mature. You can see way on the end. Wait, go back. Right there. So you can see way on the end, there's a little bit of mature vegetation as it adjoins the property to the north. And because of that, I asked them to just keep it to vegetation, and they're fine with that.
And the height of the north bulkhead?
I can't even get in there. Honestly, I think it's the same height as the existing.
Right.
But it's so
It is.
overgrown.
It was all done around the same time because
Yeah.
they have a similar treatment on that bulkhead too. They had gravel on that one too.
Correct.
I don't have a problem with raising it somewhat. I mean, it's not a sit-
Eric,
So it's
this
so
bulk-
it's up to
was
the
this
board.
bulk- was
Go
this
ahead.
bulkhead refaced originally?
I don't think so.
It
That
looks-
all looks original to me.
No, it's sandwiched in. It's all
That's
creosote.
all pre-existing.
Yeah, so they're gonna remove that and raise it up
Yes.
18 inches.
Yeah, it
Correct.
has to anyway.
Like it's got to go up.
Yeah,
Could we see the aerial, please, James?
How much fill's coming in on this application?
I said about 55 yards. In order to raise that, it's estimated.
that's a good picture of that.
Yeah, that's a very good picture.
Yeah.
It looks like the bulkhead actually to the north is semi-new. And it looks considerably higher from the aerial. Yeah, that's pretty new. And it is higher. And it goes out further.
Yeah, it's definitely new.
Yeah, that's definitely new.
I don't have a problem.
I would
with
say
It's got a
as they
walkway on
pulled up.
top of it.
this
Right,
particular-
there's a big walkway on top of it.
Yeah, I didn't go walking through all that brush and everything either.
Yeah, it's hard to get
I
through
don't have a
there.
problem with it 18 inches in that area. They're old bulkheads. The water level's coming up over the top. We've had
Right.
some situations in that area. It's a canal, fully bulkheaded canal. It's taking out creosote. So they have a planting behind it. It's just fine with me.
Okay, thank you.
Gina, what are they gonna plant behind it where all the trees and shrubbery are? They gonna,
I just stated beach grass for now. I certainly
Okay.
can ask them if they'd like to add a couple of maybe bayberry over for screening where those trees are.
That'd be great.
yeah, anything like that would be nice
Yeah.
along, it was an awful long stretch.
Yeah, I'm
So
not
that-
really for gravel because then they start getting sprayed with weed killer when the crabgrass comes up through the gravel. So beach grass would be
Yeah.
fine in that area. And that's
Yeah,
what they
But
do.
and we
from
know
shrubs-
that this is an area that we all seen Hurricane Sandy, and this whole area got flooded, and we all know that vegetation soaks up a lot more water than gravel, and gravel would be displaced, and if it overtopped, which it is right now. So vegetation here is really, I think, the way to go. I'll ask them to add some shrubs as well.
Salt tolerant, right?
So, yeah, like bayberry.
Well,
Yeah.
you had proposed beach grass on the application, so I'm fine with the beach grass. So they want to put some other, native
Yeah, that
stuff.
would be ornamental. I'd have to I'm working with the architect on, actually, we're demoing the house and building a new one. I don't know who their landscape architect is right now, but, I will work with them.
Okay.
Thanks, Regina.
Thank you.
All right, well, I'll move this forward if nobody has any objections.
Well, it looks like a good project.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, so the next one on is James Kramer on 33 Ogden Lane, the Village of Cove. So Regina, stay on there.
Yep.
Here. So
Can't get your video?
I can my video is not working. Hold on, I have IT coming. I keep getting these alerts that failed to start the video camera. Maybe my
Yeah, I'm trying to tell you to put it on.
All right, he's trying to get it on. In the meantime, I'll just babble. So Scott went to the site. I wasn't at the last meeting. I apologize. I'm actually not out of the country. That's upside down. So you had some questions. I see a couple things that could be flagged, particularly the raise of the 18 inches. That was requested by the contractor. I threw it in at the last minute, even though I told them it would be highly unlikely. It would be approved because both bulkheads on either side are the same height.
It's like the 5 days this winter that we had snow.
I know, right? I actually went back and took more recent pictures in March that aren't covered in snow. But my video is still not working. But
All right,
Scott went to look at it.
Well, look, you wanted to work with the adjoinings on this, obviously, because of the way the whole thing's situated, Regina. So I know that the other permits say up to 18, and in some instances it does make sense, but I mean, you see what's going on left and right here.
Oh, completely. You
completely. So what do you? Well, no. What do you think is going to? You can't get the grade wrong, and that's why I was asking about how much fill was coming in on the last project, because then you're going to create a problem. You're not going to, the water's going to come up around your returns, and it's going to make an issue on your own client's property.
All right. So this particular thing we're looks like east.
Yeah.
That is looking east. Yes.
East.
Oh, okay. So this is right next to that. Is it the new house or is that the house under construction?
It is the new house. They're still under construction, as you can see from the aerial. That is not my client. I don't know what they're doing over there, but I don't think it's entirely permitted.
Okay, wait a second. But wait a minute. This house is the second one in?
Yeah, it's there's a vacant, then there's the house under construction. That's the house to the east.
Then there's this house.
Then there's my client's house. So that's technically sort of the third in.
Well, the reason why I was bringing up the height was that we did issue a bulkhead permit on that particular house, the house that's under construction, the new house, right? Don't recall that one? That's where we had the issue with the vegetation and the Village of Cove not requiring any vegetation.
Yeah, I heard there were some issues.
Right.
But like I said, not my client.
Yeah, Village of Cove has no requirements for vegetating along bulkheads, and it also doesn't have any clearing restrictions on trees either. Apparently, you can strip every tree down on your lot. So, as far as the height goes, I think James, wasn't there a? Can you pull that up and see if there was an application on that?
I did. There's nothing recent, so it could have been older.
Then it was maybe the one on the other side then.
Across.
No, to the west.
That looks like that looks possibly original.
Yeah, it was this.
That doesn't look like a new.
Okay.
Ballpark.
All right.
31 has an application in. Looks like.
Oh, okay. Like I said, I'm not handling that one.
Right.
Okay. All right.
South.
But as far as clearing and stuff like that, Quag Village Trustees is also in jurisdiction, comes into play within Quag. They're required to get copies of all 4 permits before they will accept an application, and they are obligated to. Southampton Trustees has jurisdiction along the frontage. Quag Village Trustees is obligated to consider Blue Book regulations as part of their own.
Right.
I don't know, it's still not working.
This is a long stretch of bulkhead. If we could go back to the cover sheet for a moment, or Gina, if you could just explain to us, what are you proposing along the bulkhead?
It's 239 feet R&R, so the whole thing comes out. The old timber, the old CCA comes out. That is failing. It's 239 linear feet. I proposed 2 new vinyl returns. Obviously, it would go back in vinyl. And about 35 cubic yards higher, only because I'm pretty sure you won't allow it to go 18 inches, so I didn't change that. I think safely 8 inches would give it enough raise where it's not going to allow runoff to adjacent parcels. And I think that would be a good compromise. Because you know what happens by the time you pull the old timber out and you actually reconstruct a new vinyl bulkhead in place that's actually level, it ends up realistically being raised 6 to 8 inches regardless, because it's actually constructed level. Whereas the timbers, they kind of go up and down, and it's most likely after being settled for years and years, it ends up not being level. So any new vinyl bulkhead that goes in, regardless of us saying it's going to be in place same height, generally gets about 6 inches higher because it goes in level. So we have to take that into consideration.
And I think what she's saying makes sense. I mean, although I understand that the DEC's permit indicates an up to 18, but they leave it up to the local regulatory authority to set it. And I think that what she's talking about now is making more sense relative to its location. And she does have buffer listed on there. We'd have to permit the entire linear footage of the entire project. And I think that she would need to just revise her cover sheet.
Well, I just have a couple questions. I'm seeing beach stones with beach grass, to Eric's point on the previous application.
My cover says beach stones with beach grass and side of it. Yes, I did.
Right.
I like to do the combo, especially along Quad Canal, because it does go over, and a larger stone does dissipate the water. I never use gravel. Gravel just, floats away.
Right,
But
and
a larger stone.
And common sense has to come into play when you're designing these, because people do use, whatever, they tie up there, they go fishing along there, they back and forth. And, you want to have areas of vegetation, and you also need to have some areas where you've got the buffer with a stone, so you can go back and forth without trampling all over your vegetation.
And along the area, it is very consistent for the buffer area to be stone. And I could have asked for a walkway, but I think that is overkill. She has a walkway around the slip. So I told her that wasn't necessary. So, as in all projects, I'm always trying to do the right thing and balance environmental concerns with the needs of the homeowner. And she's actually fine with anything. It's up to me. She's a very, very cool client.
You're definitely going to have to amend the cover sheet.
Yeah, no problem. I will amend the cover sheet to include the entire linear footage, so you can charge as necessary. And I will say 8 inches higher instead of 18. And I will get you new cover and new plan sets.
Okay. You good to move this forward, Scott?
Yeah, I think she's done it. She's answered the questions that the board had prior work session.
Okay.
Made the adjustments necessary.
Very good.
Gina, you can get that up to us as soon as possible. That'd be great, so we can get the resolution written.
I will do.
Thank you.
Okay. The next one is Joseph Materano, 41 Road.
It's a Shinnecock Shores application. remove and replace 75 feet of existing wood bulkhead using the plastic sheathing. Replacement bulkhead elevation at top of replacement bulkhead shall match the existing bulkhead. Retain existing composite deck and cut out davit and dock piles. There should be no work within 10 feet of the face of the replacement bulkhead, except for retaining existing features. Dredge along the bulkhead and backfill dredge material behind replacement bulkhead, no more than 25 cubic yards. It's a kind of your typical Shinnecock Shores bulkhead is failing, needs new bulkhead.
Yep.
Is the applicant's agent on to answer any of the board's questions?
What's the situation with the buffer?
I think he's not indicating anything, so he would have to go with the standard buffer language that is issued on all of our permits. He's also got, if he wants to speak to that, is he here?
Leonard Jackson is the.
He's coming.
He can answer your questions.
Yeah, Leonard Jackson is here.
Great.
Hi, Rhonda.
Hi, how are you?
We're good, thanks.
Yes. Leonard Jackson is on the phone with me. He's driving right now.
Go ahead, Ann, ask him your question.
Good morning. I'm inquiring about the buffer, the 10 feet of buffer behind the bulkhead when you replace the bulkhead. What are your plans for that, please?
What are your plans for the buffer, the 10-foot buffer behind the bulkhead? Leonard?
No plan. They weren't doing anything beyond.
He said they're
restoring exactly what's there.
He says they're restoring exactly what's there. It'll remain the same as it is now with no changes.
Thanks, James. So at this point, there is what as a buffer? There is no buffer.
No.
So it's deck the whole way. Deck and walkway.
So deck, right, deck and walkway the whole way, right, Leonard?
Yes.
Yes.
You're gonna pull it up and pull it up, put it in the bulkhead and replace it, put it back down again.
Right. They will pull it up. They will replace the bulkhead and then replace everything the way it is now with the walkway and the decking.
How wide is that walkway?
Do you know how wide the walkway is, Leonard?
Like about,
It was right there. Go back.
7 feet wide or so.
What?
Go back. No,
it's like about 6-8 feet wide.
Yeah, it's wide. It's wider than 4 feet.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So, Mr. Jackson, would you consider
Right there.
either?
Hold on, Len. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
The walkway is made in sections. We're gonna lift it up, put it in the bulkhead, and put it right back down again.
All right. Yeah, he says that the walkway comes out in sections. They're going to pick it up. They're going to replace the bulkhead and then just put it back down.
In interests of the quality of our waters, it would be most helpful if you would do something that was some sort of vegetated buffer along this area. And that would mean either restricting the size of the walkway or diminishing the decking that's on the far end, the 12 by 16 section of decking, and creating a bit of a vegetated buffer.
What is the I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with this project. I'm just relaying Leonard. But what is the buffer width
Say it again, Rhonda?
in this area?
10 feet, generally, we look for, like, Shinnecock Shores is highly constrained. You're highly constrained. So a lot of times what the standard will go with is like a 4-foot walkway and then some buffering behind that. But you've got a pre-existing walkway here, which is not consistent with what we generally would do on a new application. I mean, I understand you have old, wood and a failing bulkhead that needs to be replaced. Generally, we try and get some buffering in
Okay.
addition when you're.
All right, Len, do you think that they would be willing to put some vegetation in rather than the complete wide decking that's there now? Maybe narrow down the deck to 4 or 5 feet and then put some buffer, some vegetation on it in as a buffer?
No, it would cost them a fortune to do that. Besides, the guy's 88 years old. He needs a damn walkway to walk on.
All right, he said, Leonard says the client is 88 years old and he needs the walkway. So he would prefer to leave it the way it is.
James, did you look at this the prior permits on this?
No, I have not.
But he's gonna take it out in order to do the bulkhead.
Right.
So so if it all has to come out, it can certainly be put in shorter.
Hey, Scott.
It's not that it's stay there.
Yeah, Billy.
Maybe we just should hold this off until Mr. Jackson can be here. Being realigned, because this is
I think
I hear him say it, then I hear her say it, and it's two different things.
Yeah, and James is not fully finished with the due diligence, obviously, on it. He's got to check the prior permits. So he's got a little bit more work to do with it.
I think so.
It's the first conversation at a work session. So there are some questions that have to be answered by Mr. Jackson and by James Duryea, our environmental analyst. So I think that it makes sense that this is held so that we could get the proper answers so that the board is satisfied with the direction that we take.
And maintain consistent policy.
They're going to hold it over so you can be at the next work session.
I think you have to check with the policies have been in that canal to be consistent, because you've put requirements on other people in that canal there, and to change it wouldn't be fair to them. Okay, a little bit of research is involved.
Yeah, James, James has got to have the proper amount of time so that he can go through the file. We got it on the work session. We've got a conversation started. The process has started. Let everybody do their job, and then as we will get a good decision.
Okay.
Okay, Rhonda. Okay, Mr. Jackson.
Okay.
Oh, that's the way it's going to be. All right. So
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So next item is Commerce Drive in Hampton Bays, Commerce Drive LLC, 35 Commerce Drive.
J&A Land Use Consultants. Charles, is there anybody on?
I don't know. I don't see anyone. No one's raising their hand.
Jeff Ulysses.
Can you hear me now? Sorry.
Yep.
James, is this the one? Yeah, they were supposed to. This is not the one that we're supposed to be reviewing. It's the one with just a dock. And I want to schedule a public hearing because the neighbors down there, Scott, this is next to Dr. Murto and Mr. Wexler. They have some neighborhood issues down there.
Yes.
Okay.
Which you're familiar with. We've been contacted. So if we can get the plans that we have.
Did he submit them? I don't know if he submitted them. Did he submit them?
He was supposed to. If he hasn't, we're going to hold this until we get the plans, and at which time I'll discuss briefly, and then we'll put on for a public hearing. All right.
Fine. Yep.
All right.
Okay. So we'll hold it.
Yep.
The plans that you requested to him, correct?
I did request that, with the boat lift and to get rid of it because it's very congested down there. And the next door neighbors, Dr. Murto actually own both properties, and it looks like the project's gonna be, or the boat lift and the dock that's to the west on Dr. Murtaugh's property, not on the vacant property, is over the extended property line. So we have a bunch of work to do on this, but I need the plans specifically just for the floating dock, not the boat lift.
Okay.
All right?
Okay,
And I will, we'll give them a call and see where the plans are, okay?
All right.
Great. Thanks,
Good.
Ed.
Yeah.
okay. We'll move on to the next one then. That's Lawrence Benson, Lynn Avenue, 247A Lynn Avenue.
All right, here we go. To modify an existing dock, the permit is GP 000191 to add a 3x15 ramp and a 6x20 float with 8-inch tie-off pilings. James, can you put up the water depths?
Kevin Springer on?
Yes, is Kevin on here?
You looking for?
Kevin Springer?
No.
Why was it removed from the application in the first place?
I don't remember why it was, but now and I asked him about the water depths, and I don't see any water depths here. James, is there a bathymetric?
I'll check, see if there's a.
I think that was my question originally. I mean, there is a pier line of 135 feet here.
Mine is 36 inches at the end of the float.
Is that what it said?
Yeah, that's
30
3
at the
feet.
end of the dock. 30 at the end of the dock, and the ramp and the float gets out to 30 minus 3 feet.
Yeah, it drops right off there pretty quickly. It's consistent what is in the area now. The several properties have, catwalks to ramps and a float. It has adequate water depth. I wish Kevin was here so he could give us a narrative of it. I mean, I can give a little overview because we've permitted several docks in this area. This is probably, 10 docks down from Dr. Murtaugh's, where there's more open area and it's more conducive to having, can you put that back up, James?
What's
The
that?
aerial.
Yeah, the aerial. You can
Ed, were you gonna?
see, there's several properties that. Good.
I was just gonna inquire if the float was gonna be pulled in the summertime.
In the wintertime, it's gonna
Yeah.
be a seasonal float.
I'm
It would
sorry,
have
in
to
the
be because it
wintertime.
would get destroyed. Yeah, it would
Good.
get destroyed
Okay.
there with all the ice that conjugates along there. Each one of the properties here have, docks and floats. So it'd be consistent what we permitted in the past. It has adequate water depth. So James, it's compliant to what we need, correct?
I mean, I don't see where did you see that? The depth measurements according with the plan?
I didn't. That's why I was asked that they were supposed to be on here. And that's why I wanted Kevin. You know what? We're going to hold this and we're going to get Kevin on next
I
time.
mean, he has it on this survey, but
he doesn't have the dock depicted on there, right? That's the problem. All right. You know what? We'll
the
hold this
old,
one. And
the one next door has it, but
I know, but we're reviewing this property. I want to
Right.
make consistent along here.
right.
Okay.
All right. So
Okay.
we'll hold this one.
Okay.
And we'll ask for the dock to be overlaid on the bathymetric survey that he has.
Okay. Good.
Okay, sounds good. All right, the next one is Ann Fisher, Revocable Trust, 15 North Norton Point, North Sea. DKS Shores again.
Hey, James, can you pull that up? Because I don't have the.
Yeah, I'm working on it here.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Gina, are you on?
I'm here. My video, I'm
Is
still
it
playing with
video?
my video. It's your video. My kid gave me another webcam and that one's not working either.
It's nice you have your own IT department.
I do. It's still not working. Wait, hold on. Charles just asked me. Sorry, I'm working on it.
The application proposed to remove existing.
All right, it's this one. Right.
Okay, so the last time we came up, Billy, you asked me to hold this over. You asked me to make it shorter. It originally was taking out the old not permitted dock and then replacing it out a little further. And that one was 69 feet. So I shortened it. So it only goes out to, and coincidentally, I asked for it to be held over because I didn't get input from DEC. They're taking forever to review applications and technical. I did get that review back. They asked the new dock be located at 1 foot to the point 1 foot of water at the seaward terminus. So I plotted that at 1 foot with a ladder on the end only, not stairs. And after discussing it with the homeowner, so we're at 32 feet from high water, dock ending with a ladder at 1 foot of water. I have not gotten the DEC permit yet. So that's the old dock, what you see right now that exists. And that's the new revised shorter dock at a 0.52 feet. Keep in mind that's from the bulkhead. So basically just clears the marsh is what I'm saying. Like literally just clears the marsh.
I'm fine with that. If you show them the pictures, that way people can understand it probably a little bit better.
Whatever you
Yeah,
want, just let me
it's
know.
highly vegetated. I asked them during the process that they remove those 2 kayak ramps. Kayak storage facilities. I said that's completely not compliant. So we're basically going to raise it so it matches the height of the wooden timber bulkhead. Because right now it's way too low.
Catwalk.
Yeah, correct. And then with through flow, so it's going from a non-compliant structure to a compliant structure, basically in all. So see the existing timber walkway is basically on grade at its landward point. There is intertidal marsh on either side of it, and the walkway right now is kind of obstructing that from growing. So we're going to raise it, put through flow, make it the same height as it's a stone wall. It's a stone wall, but I think there's actually a timber bulkhead behind that.
What's the elevation going to be, Gina?
The same height as the stone wall. So those 2 steps. So it is about
so 0.2 over grade. 0.208. Okay.
Correct.
On your application, that's just a little confusing with the elevation at
First, I thought it was 2,000 feet.
2,000.
Are you looking at the cross section? What are you looking at?
No, I'm looking at the application description.
Oh.
Maybe do it in inches or something.
It's 2,084 feet over grade.
No, there's a point before
That's
it.
a decimal.
Well, you abbreviated elevation, so
I'm with you, James.
Period.
I'm with you. Yeah, maybe that could be cleared up a little.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
We can land a helicopter on it.
Why don't you just do that in inches instead of decimal points?
Sure, no problem.
Everything else good, I think, right?
I think I'm fine with it now. I think I'd like to advance it unless any other board members have questions about it.
No, I'm okay.
Nope.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I said,
Thanks, James. Thanks, Gina.
sorry for the typo, but hey, we gotta laugh.
Yeah, right?
We'll do the next one.
Okay, yeah, next
Yeah.
one is Surla, Millstone Lane.
Pam, 7 Millstone Lane. This is with DK Offshores. Gina, are you still
I'm
there?
still on. I'm still on. I think the applicant may be on too. Pam, if she's in the audience, say hi and raise your hand. So Billy called me from, I guess you were on site when you called me, and had a couple of questions and wanted me to specify on the cover that what we're asking for on the plans is only to match the neighbor to the south, which is measured at 13 inches higher in total. That includes the hat.
Did you reach out to either neighbor on this permit?
I have not, no. I don't even, I'm not even sure who they are.
You
I
know,
would have to
it's pretty
check that.
straightforward, but the neighbors are complaining. So we might have to have a public hearing on this, unless you reach out to the neighbors and.
So the neighbor on which side?
Both sides.
Both sides, okay.
Yeah, they both had questions and, you know.
Well, you can see the
I didn't really want to get in.
I think someone in the audience is on.
Hello?
Hello?
Yes, can you hear me?
Brian, that's Brian.
That's Brian. Good morning.
Okay. and
Good
who is
morning.
Brian?
Who is Brian?
Yeah, I'm the
Okay.
property owner.
Okay.
Brian Oxer.
Brian.
Oxer.
If you had any questions, I came on to help answer them if that would help.
Yes, I'd like to have Gina reach out to both neighbors. If there's any problems, we have to have a public hearing on this so they can speak on record.
Okay, we can do that. That's not a problem. We had a problem with a neighbor not wanting us to use that property at all. You know, we had just purchased it, and that neighbor has since moved, and we have a real nice family that's our next door neighbor now.
Yeah, that's what I had told Billy, that the former owner, had some issues. And they had.
Gina, wouldn't the Army Corps make the, talk to the adjoining property owners and have comments submitted by them also?
Technically, yes. It's called a letter of coordination. And the applicant's entire package would basically be sent out to both adjoining property owners. That application was submitted to the Corps on May 20th. And, the feds, hold on. I actually have, not only do I have Department of State, I also have a Department of Army permit for this as well. And with that, letters of coordination are sent out to both adjacent landowners. And I haven't
Billy,
gotten anything back. Yeah.
Billy, it's your area, so you think we should do the same?
Yeah, I think we should either send letters out or have a public hearing because both neighbors were very concerned about the usage of that end of that piece of property. And I said that we only have jurisdiction 10 feet behind the bulkhead. And it's very narrow down there. And their property, their survey, they showed that as a, it showed it as a right of way.
Well,
which,
it's actually,
you know,
actually a separate parcel. It has its own lot number.
I said it has a separate parcel and it's going by what they show me. So that's why, I don't want to get.
Yeah, what happens historically, is people don't really realize that, and they use someone else's property. And now, when I guess they couldn't use it anymore because it is private property. I mean, it's a separate lot owned by the adjoining part,
Yeah, right. I think they all realize it, but they just, they both have a lot of questions on how it's going to be tied in, the returns and.
I plotted both returns and all work to actually be done, and specifically so, we would need to have the property staked out, basically. And all work, and basically what you do is you cut it inside the property line. You're not allowed to touch the property next door. All work has to be within the property line. And I would specify that before any work would commence, that the property lines be staked, so there is no miscommunication whatsoever.
We want, because we don't want a war down there with all the neighbors. That's why I figured.
Right.
It sounds like a public hearing is in order.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can assure you, though, that there's not a right of way on that property.
Yeah.
No, it's definitely not right way.
No, we see that.
But that's what they showed me on their survey. And I said, well, they, surveyors make mistakes and, they own that piece of property because I already had seen your deed on your application.
Yes, I understand.
Sean, do you concur that probably the best path forward on this is a public hearing?
Well, it's either that or it only affects the two property owners if they wanted to get, have them come in instead of going through the whole process. I mean, it doesn't affect anybody else on the block.
No, just as the two neighbors.
Would it be possible? Would it be possible to get affidavits from those two people to move this along?
That would be helpful. I think.
What do you mean, like have them come on right now?
Yeah.
No, I'd ask them for an affidavit that they don't have any issues with what we're doing down there.
I think affidavits would be helpful.
Yeah,
Well,
that
they've
would,
already had a chance with the Army Corps to review it, so they're familiar with what the project entails. So if they would get a sworn notarized affidavit, and they have no problem with the project, then we would be basically doing a public hearing, but without all the process, right?
Well,
Sean,
it only affects two properties.
Yeah.
Or, sometimes we don't want people to really go out of their way and have to go to a bank to get stuff notarized. What I can do is send out a copy of the plans with a letter certified to both neighbors and give them a certain time period to respond, say, 2 weeks or something like that. I don't know what the availability is for the next hearing, but I could specify this will be going on work session again on this day. Please respond by, and or attend this meeting. If you give me a certain day, it's definitive to be on for a work session. And then if they come on,
Well, you can give them the alternative.
Gina, would you send it by registered mail so that
I would send it certified return receipt request, yes.
contacted?
Where's Sean Cambridge?
I'm on here. If you were looking for a public hearing, your lead time would put you at October 18th. So we could feasibly do it. I'm not sure what the timeline is on this type of project, but it's not overly difficult to schedule a public hearing if the board's inclined to do it.
Now, Sean, what do you think of these other suggestions about affidavits and this other stuff? What's your thoughts on these things?
I'm generally going to always lean towards the public hearing, just in case one of these neighbors changes their mind later on, that you've had the full process. If the whole board is, okay with not having it, of course, you're the board, it's your decision. I'm always going to favor, the cautious route here.
I'm sorry. I have a question. If it's on my deed, I own this property, there's no right of way. Don't I have the right to put the bulkhead in place or replace the bulkhead that's deteriorating, that's there? Isn't it my right?
Oh, yes, but there's also, public concern in an area. Even when there's a dock put out, we put out a public hearing to see if there's going to be any navigational issues or anything. In this instance, these people might have questions about how it's actually your dock is going to be tied into theirs. Your bulkhead.
Right.
So, if you can, we could schedule a public hearing, and if you get letters and affidavits before that, then
we can cancel it.
Close it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's always good to have a piece of paper that they agree with it, in the file, so later on if something comes up.
I have no problem. That's fine. I just, want to try to move the process along. It's a.
Okay, so if I send out a certified return receipt letter with a copy of the plans and ask for a response by October 16th, which is a Saturday, that would give them, a full 2 weeks to reply.
Mhm.
And at the same time, we schedule a public hearing and then it could be,
And if you schedule the public hearing for the 18th at 1 o'clock, I could advise them, this matter will be held on this work session at 9:30 in the morning on October 18th. Or please, reply in writing before then. And give them that
Yes.
option so they don't have to come on.
Oh, yeah, that's always an option. We always take written
Yeah.
comment, so.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
As long as they have the opportunity, if they don't,
Yeah.
if they want not to do it, then it's fine, but we still should
Right.
have something in the letter, in the file.
Right. I will reference the hearing at 9:30, the work session. But I'll ask for a reply before that.
Yeah. And that's a separate lot, so you have
Yes.
all the
Right.
privileges that a landowner would have on that
Yeah.
lot. Regardless of what
Yeah,
another.
good fences make good neighbors. We all want to be courteous, and do the right thing.
Okay.
No
All right.
question.
Not a problem.
Thank you,
Okay,
everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right.
of
Thanks
course, have a good day.
You too.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
I think, am I done? Am I done?
Yes.
Looks like it, yes.
Okay. All right.
Thanks,
guys.
Adina.
I'll
Thanks,
see
Tina.
you at 1. Okay. With video.
So we're gonna hold this over.
Okay. Thanks, Billy. Bye.
Okay.
Jessica, we're gonna hold this over.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks.
Next one is Alvina Kalsh.
81 Harbor Drive in Noyax, Suffolk Environmental. This matter you hear, Matt Ivins. This.
Yeah, I'm going to step away for about 30 seconds, so go ahead.
Okay. This is an application that has been before the board a couple times before. It is a dock on Sag Harbor Cove, and we asked for soundings to be obtained because the dock, in order to get to 2.5 feet of water, exceeds the pier line in Sag Harbor Cove, which is presently 60 feet. There are, as Matt had pointed out previously, Matt, are you here?
Yep, I'm here. Can you guys hear me?
Great.
Yes.
Hi, Matt.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good, man.
Good, thank you. Do you want to explain a bit about this, Matt, just to refresh everyone's memory?
Yeah, I guess about a year ago, we brought in an application for a full-on catwalk, hinge ramp, floating dock that exceeded the pier line at the time of 60 feet from the high water. The solution at the time was to allow for the catwalk. You guys gave us a permit for just a catwalk, and then to perform a pier line analysis, which would allow us to amend the blue book to extend past that 60 foot. We received the permit, the catwalk was constructed, and then we subsequently submitted for an amendment to include the hinge ramp and floating dock. I talked to James, I think it was Thursday.
Yes.
Yep, James just asked me to update that aerial that is possibly before you. James, did you throw that up?
Yeah, I'm pulling it up. I just
All right.
wasn't updated, so I have to just
Okay.
pull it up real quick here.
So James said, it would help you guys out in terms of, giving you an idea of both the lengths of the existing docks to the west around that little island, and then to the south, and also water depths at the end of those docks, just to give you an idea. We're proposing our dock at 72 feet from high water. And from what I saw on the agenda, I think you guys are hoping to amend the blue book to allow up to 75 feet from the high water mark.
Do you hit 2.5 feet at 72 feet, Matt?
Yes.
You do? Okay. That's great. Does anybody have questions about this? Because, and the discussion, as Matt mentioned, is pertinent to this afternoon's meeting, where pretty much the tax maps from each of the yellow circled properties would be included in this extension of the pier line to 75 feet. It would not be all of Sag Harbor Cove, but that will be a discussion this afternoon. But it would include, it would extend the pier line from 60 to 75 feet for these properties in order to get to the 2.5 feet of water without necessitating chalking of the floating dock.
Okay. Looks like a workable solution.
So
Yeah,
this,
a lot of these properties that we're looking at have very large boulders very close to shore, so it'd be.
I didn't hear the last part, Ed. A lot of them have properties, a lot of these properties have boulders.
A lot of these properties in this area have very large boulders close to shore within like 50 or 70 feet. So moving these docks off a little bit would get away from the navigational hazards of these very large boulders that are submerged in a lot of Sag Harbor Cove.
Right, true.
Make for much safer boating.
True. Or glacial erratics, probably.
Okay. Looks
So,
good.
does anyone have questions about this?
No, it's been going on for a long time. We've talked about it quite a bit, so.
Right. So in order, so what we would do, how do we proceed with this? Do we approve it pending the results of the
Oh, you have this application particularly in front of you. You can advance it pending the outcome of the later today resolution. The resolution for this particular application will not be put on until the following meeting anyway. So I don't think it doesn't matter if you hold it or advance it, in my opinion, but what do you think, Sean?
Advance it.
I would say go ahead and advance it. You're not making the decision until potentially after you either do or don't change the blue book, and that will dictate how you decide on this permit at your next meeting.
Right.
Great. Then I'd like to advance it, please.
Okay. Very good.
Thank you, Matt.
You got it. Let me know if I can be of any help.
Matt, thanks for your patience and your help with this as we've sort of navigated slowly forward.
All right, you're welcome. Take care.
Bye. Bye.
Next one is Northampton Colony Yacht Club, 14 Noyak Bay Avenue in Noyak. Is anyone from Costello Marine here, or is the dock master or the provisional dock master?
Costello is here.
Great. Thanks, Charles.
You're right there.
The architect is raising his hand too.
Oh, great. Okay.
Frank
Remind me if we could let him in too, please, Jess. Thanks. So this is a marina within a residential community, and they are asking for, they have some homeowners that have purchased some larger boats, and they would like to reconfigure this dock setup a bit in order to accommodate these larger boats. If either of you would like to speak to this further, who was ever here for Costello Marine, or Mr. Greenwald, happy to have you chime in and explain.
Hey, guys, it's Jack Costello. Can you hear me?
Hey, Jack. Yes.
Hey, guys. So this modification of the marina is only going to yield 2 additional slips, and a couple of the boats are going to be bigger on the outside, and it's not going to impede navigation or be in the way. And it's a pretty simple application. We have the DEC permit. We have the Department of State. The Army Corps of Engineers has issued a public notice as of September 14th. The Army has been particularly slow as of late, so we're hoping to get that taken care of. And this is just a small community dock. There's not even dumpsters or garbage. All garbage is carried in, carried out. And if there's any questions for me, I'll be happy to answer them.
You could see from the prior site plan, the former or the present configuration of the dock, and this is the proposed configuration. We did ask that to make sure that it's 10 feet off the property line, and it is. So the piling, everything, including the pilings, would be 10 feet off the property line. The other thing that we had checked on was the Sag Harbor Fire Department boat uses the dock that's on the sort of northeast side of this picture. And we want to make sure there was adequate access for that, and there is with the reconfiguration. Mr. Greenwald, did you want to chime in at all? We had a fairly extensive conversation the other day.
Yeah, Frank Greenwald. I'm the dock master at Northampton Colony Yacht Club. Basically, the only thing I guess I could add is that it's a community dock. Our members just keep getting bigger and bigger boats, and we really would like to accommodate them. It's a net add of 2 slips, but it does give us larger slips by rearranging a couple of things on the south side and this addition on the east side, I guess it is. Yeah, I mean, we have the depth to accommodate the boats that we have. We have the water depth, so there's no dredging needed. The other part of this application is the addition of a bunch of pilings. I think, I don't know, a dozen or so pilings along and around the existing piers, which again is because the boats are sort of larger than the little floating docks, and we need to be able to tie the boats off properly. So I'm not sure what else I can add, but thank you.
This marina is there's a fair amount of distance across to the other shoreline, and this is greatly to the west of the channel in and out of Mill Creek. There are no other homes that access this area other than, as I said, the fire department boat, and that was not at this location this summer.
Frank?
Yes.
How far does the bow of the boat's going to stick out from the bow of the from the poles on the outside? How are you going to put, like, the bow's going to be 10 feet out from those poles, or?
I don't think so. I mean, we have 56 feet on those 4 on those 4 large east facing slips. We have 56 feet. I think we can accommodate an 18 or 19 foot beam. So my guess is, I mean, maybe a little bit past there, maybe it'll be a 60 foot overall boat, but not a whole lot past there. You know, because I think once you get past 60 foot, both beams, I think will be larger than what we can accommodate here. And then you can't really properly tie it off. You know, you need some pilings close enough to the bow.
Hey, James, can you do an overhead shot, please?
How would this proposed expansion lay out as far as the channel goes? Because I see the channel right here on this overhead.
Yeah, so if you see that there are 3 pilings now on that east end, yep, exactly where the cursor are. So that's about 22 feet. I think that the width of that slip now is about 22 feet. So we're 56 feet. So we're only a little more than double that size. Yeah, exactly. So go to the right. Yeah, maybe to there. But the channel is, you know, substantially farther away.
Yes.
You can see
Are
you can see the marker down at the bottom of the page.
Well, if I was gonna approve something like this, I would definitely want some kind of a navigational light or aid or some kind of reflective, device on these pilings, because if you come in a fog,
You gotta hit 'em.
it could be an issue, especially if there's no boats on them, right, Billy?
Yes, that's what I was thinking. That's why I was asking, how far out do they stick? I never really been in there with a boat, so I can't really tell. But
Well, it's if you look at the other marina, Mill Creek Marina to the southeast, it's very close to much closer to the channel even than this one would be. So I think it's something that's doable, but I just want to make sure if there's no vessels tied up at those on those pilings that they can have some kind of a reflective device or some kind of navigational aid, especially if you're coming in at night in a fog. It could be especially when we're permitting a new structure to be placed that much further out, it would be error on the side of caution, I believe.
Yeah, that's a good idea. You can see down at the bottom, sort of across from Ed Warner's head, there's I don't know if you can, yeah, right there. That's a green marker. Yeah, that's a green marker. So, boats stay sort of pretty close to that coming in because it gets shallow on either side of there. So,
yeah, it's really very shallow.
But the point, to your point, Ed, that's fair.
Yeah.
To request some sort of.
Yeah, we can put some solar lights on those outboard pilings, and we could even see if we can get another red marker installed. In the channel somewhere.
A red marker would be very good, Frank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sort of almost right
Sometimes-
where your cursor is now.
Yeah,
Right.
sometimes you put too many lights up, it confuses people coming in.
Yeah.
Or reflective tape would be better.
Yeah, reflective tape would be better because I'll hit it with a spotlight.
Yep. Yeah.
All right.
Do you want him to add that language to the cover sheet so it could be put in right into the permit?
Yes, I think so.
And also, you probably have to go with the Bay Constables to get permits to put they would have to get permits to put the red buoy in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that would be us.
It wouldn't be a bad idea to have a red buoy just to the right of where your cursor is. You can sort of see where it shallows.
Mhm.
Yeah, right
Just off
there,
the
exactly.
point.
Yeah,
Off
it
the
wouldn't be a
point,
bad
yeah.
idea.
No, but you also have to put it in a spot where these boats aren't going to hit it when they back in.
Yeah, true.
When they swing around.
Yeah.
Frank, you're familiar with the process for obtaining the red marker?
No, I have no idea.
That's us. We have to request it from the Bay Constables and they have to fill out some papers.
Ah.
The Harbor Patrol.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Yeah, and just put reflective tape on the outmost pilings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That keeps it simple.
Yeah, great.
Hey James.
Yeah.
Can you send a note over to Rich Franks about red marker there for next spring?
Never done that before. What am I stating in that email?
I can work with you on that, James.
Yeah, just where it is,
Yep.
They have to do soundings, but just about location where we want it as you come in.
Right on the edge of the shoal.
Yeah, the western edge of that channel.
Yeah.
Okay, and they've done this before. They're aware of how.
Yeah, because I asked them about buoys because they have to do the paperwork so that way it shows up on the charts and stuff like that.
Okay. Mr. Costello, can you make these additions to the cover sheet or have the cover sheet corrected to include the reflective tape on the outside pilings?
Yes, absolutely.
That'd be great. Then is everybody okay if we approve this and move it forward pending the additions to the cover sheet?
I'm okay.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
okay.
fine. Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, that'd be great then. Thank you so much, Mr. Greenwald and Mr. Costello, for your input.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Much appreciated.
Okay, next is Blue Turtles. Sagaponic.
Okay, this is Blue Turtles, Inc., 281 Daniels Lane, Village of Sagaponack. This is an InterScience application for the property immediately to the west of Peters Pond Lane. A request had been made a bit ago to install sand fencing, and upon discussion at the work session, it was asked that the sand fencing, rather than be moved back to where the prior fence had been. The prior fence is more at the top of the dune rather than at the toe of the dune. The prior fence is buried in the sand, but it seemed more fitting to install it in its proper location. Mr. Walker, are you here?
You're muted.
Now you can hear me?
We can.
Okay. The snow fence is buried, so it's a single row of fence. And we really don't encourage people to put single rows of fence down ever. It's really not something that works. We always propose double rows, a double diamond snow fence configuration traps sand, especially windblown sand, or sand that's put up on the dune during small storms. So basically, I spoke to the people that are in charge there and told them we're going to go back to the town. We're going to put another single row of snow fence in front of the old snow fence, and it will make a double diamond and it will work. So that's what you have in front of you.
James, can you show, do we have the survey here that shows, or just the prior plan that shows the, how this has been rolled back? Yeah, that's great. If you can scroll in on that. You can see here at the sort of in the middle of the screen. That was the proposed fence, right, James?
Yeah.
And the high water mark is just to the south of that.
Right here.
And then the original fence is the one that's most landward. So the second row of diamond fencing or diamond shaped fencing would go just abutting this fence.
Just south of it.
All right, how many feet?
Well,
linear feet in length?
It's about 7 feet.
Is it going to be 10 feet apart, or is it going to be 20 feet apart?
No, it's going to be right up against it, Bill.
Okay, I just want to make, I know that, but I just want, on record that how far it's going to be.
I mean,
The front
it's got to
row,
indicate.
the front row will be 8 feet offset the old snow fence. It's 8 feet off, Bill.
Okay, so the point at the furthest away from it is 8 feet. And also, since this fence is very lengthy in length, could we have, a couple sections where if someone's walking on the beach and there's a storm or a high tide, they can run up. So they have like a 4-foot section missing so they can get on the other side.
I think it's fine with me. We could put one at the west property line. We could put one in the middle. We could put one at the east property line.
Yeah, just space them out just for safety.
I think that's fine. Realistically, I think the problem with the old application was that they were putting the snow fence down on the beach, and there's piping plovers and least turn concerns here. So I talked to the people. They were more than willing to put the snow fence where the old snow fence. So it's coincidental, but also it works. If you put the snow fence together and you have a double diamond, what happens is the wind and the storm-driven sand gets trapped in between, and it works all over the place until the next storm comes and wipes out everything. It's helpful to everybody. So it's helpful to the property owner. It doesn't impede anything on the beach, and it doesn't cause any problems with the least turns or the piping plovers or the DEC. So it's consistent with everything that's been done in the past anyway.
Does anyone have any further questions? If
No.
I'm fine with it now, as long as there's, he laid out the questions I had. Answered
Okay.
them.
If not, then I'd like to approve this and move it forward, please.
Okay.
I'm good.
Jim,
Yeah,
this is right after we're done with this. I'm gonna give you a call, okay? So stand by.
I wanted to go to lunch, Eric.
Not gonna be
I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding, trying to make you laugh.
It's not gonna be that long. Okay, so Scott, can you finish up the meeting here, and then we're gonna go into a bridge call real quick.
Yeah, I
But
can finish it up.
I have to talk to Jim here for a second. Okay.
All right, let me fit.
That bridge call.
Hey, Scott,
Okay,
Yes,
Thanks.
can you tell me, are you gonna start at 1?
yes.
Yes.
Okay, because I want to try to get home.
Well, we'll make the rest of this meeting very quick. We've got some,
Okay, so what's the problem?
No, it'll take me half an hour to get home.
Okay.
we're
Yeah,
gonna
we're
do
gonna
some
start-
waterfowl determinations here and
Yeah, we're
that's
gonna
pretty.
start at 1. Yeah.
This will be
Okay.
quick, Charles. Jim, thanks a lot.
Okay, and then I'll join you guys on the bridge call. Okay, thanks.
Okay, so we've got some waterfowl determinations to make. First one was President Schultz's permit number 17. Justin Topping. Jessica, do you want to brief the board on this?
Sure. This was just a standard transfer request. Hunter Tracy is not registered on any other blinds and he's not on the waterfowl wait list. I have on the screen the location of where this is in Moriches Bay. It's number 17. The Bay Constables were fine with it and they just asked for trustee board approval.
Okay, is everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so the next one is permit number 61 for Scott M. Schleicher, transfer to Travis McDonald. Jess, you want to give us,
Yep, it's very similar. This is once again Hunter Tracy, not registered on any other blinds. Oh, I'm sorry, Scott Schleicher.
is
Yeah,
Scott Schleicher to
Travis
Travis
McDonald,
McDonald?
yes. It's the second one.
Sorry, they're reversed in my emails. I'm getting confused. Okay, so
No
permit
worries.
61, Scott Schleicher, transferring to Travis McDonald, also not registered on any other blinds, and he's not on the waterfowl wait list. Bay Constables were fine with it.
Okay.
Then you have another one for the same permit number 241, Justin Topping, transferring to Hunter Tracy.
Yes, this is Bill's area. This is in Cold Spring Pond. 241 is on the screen. And once again, this would be the second one for Hunter Tracy, but he's not registered on any of their blinds presently. He's not on the waterfowl wait list, and the Bay Constables were fine with it.
Was Justin Toppin on the wait list at one time?
Justin Topping, I'm not sure. He's the one that's transferring it to Hunter Tracy.
Okay, was Hunter Tracy on the wait list?
No, not that I'm aware of, but I don't see any record of him being on the wait list presently or historically. And he has no blinds right now. So these would be his 2 that he'd be maxed out at, is my understanding.
And does he have any co-blind people on this, or they all by himself?
All by himself, just going from Justin Topping by himself to Hunter Tracy by himself.
Okay, but also, I think this one blind is up on the grass. It's not supposed to be on the grass. I'm not quite sure, but last time I went by, I think it was up on the bank.
241?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I can let the Bay Constables know. Do you want to have them like impounded or?
No, if it's on the, it's not supposed to be on the bank. It's supposed to be sitting in the water.
Yes, correct, Billy.
And
Right.
I would hold that off to make sure that it's not holding,
Okay, so you want to let the 2 advance and you want to hold number 241?
Yeah, unless we know that it's off the bank.
Well, I don't know if I'm going to know that right now, so.
I know. We'll just hold it off until to the next one.
Okay.
'Cause I know there's a couple of them there. I'm not quite sure which ones are sitting on the bank.
So advance 17 and 61, and per trustee Pell's recommendation, hold 241.
Yeah, just be on the safe side.
Okay? I know we are scheduled to have an executive session conference call. So does anybody have anything more they want to add to the work session that can't hold till the general session so we can get in that call?
No.
All set? Okay, so then we would get a motion to adjourn and go to our executive bridge call. If I could
Second.
get- All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Thanks,
Meeting-
everybody.